How y'all doing? Well, went on a little field trip today to one of my favorite spots in Smith County, and it's the old Rome Ferry site. And there's a lot of history there. There was a ferry there for almost 200 years. The first ferry was put there in 1798 by Joseph Bishop, and the ferry ran until the county shut it down in 1992. But when I was a kid, I always thought that ferry was so cool, and we'd go down there and we'd go across it. Anytime we were on that end, we'd I'd look for it when we were driving down the highway, or we'd go across it. I grew up on the Wilson County side, a few miles down the road, but it was privately owned. It stayed privately owned until 1929, and in 1929, the county bought it for $1, and the deal was that they ran that ferry for free from sun up to sundown until they built a bridge, which they clearly dropped the ball on that one, but that was the deal. That's what they were supposed to do. But in 1992, it just wasn't. They couldn't afford it. They couldn't afford to have two men down there running that ferry from sun up to sundown, so they shut it down. Now, when they did that, the people on the north side of the river, the Beasley's Bend, Riddleton end, it really caused a lot of those people some problems, because a lot of them worked in Lebanon or Nashville, or I know there was a couple folks that worked up in Old Hickory at DuPont, and it increased their commute time massively, because at least a half hour, because you either have to go down to the bridge in Carthage, or you have to go up to the bridge in Hartsville. So that was not good for a lot of people, and kind of cleaned Beasley's Bend out a little bit from people living there. But it's such a cool historical site because its connection with the Lebanon races, and that's what we grew up calling it. Now it's apparently called the Battle of Lebanon. But the Lebanon races, that's where Colonel John Hunt Morgan, it was May 5th, which is an easy day for me to remember. This is my birthday and a fake holiday. But anyway, May 5th, 1862, Colonel Morgan and his men, the Kentucky cavalry that he had, were kind of holed up overnight in Lebanon. And they had pickets out on all the major roads coming into town. But they were holed up, and Colonel Morgan was in an old house that was where David's Pizza is at now in Lebanon. So right across from the jail or court complex, whatever it's called. But that's where he was at. Well, General Ebenezer Dumont had 3 cavalry outfits. I think it was the 1st and 4th Kentucky Union, and the 7th Pennsylvania. I think it was the 7th Pennsylvania. But they found out that Morgan was in town, and they came in from Murfreesboro. So what's essentially 231 now. It was Murfreesboro Pike at the time. But anyway, so they were coming in from Murfreesboro. Well, there was a young picket. He was a high school kid, young kid, teenager. Well, not a high school kid, but he was a teenager. He should have been a high school kid. And it was raining that night, and he had got off the road under a cedar tree to try to keep drier. And while he was doing that, here comes all this Yankee cavalry right by in front of him. He knew he dropped the ball, because they were about to get the complete drop on Morgan and all the rest of his men. So very bravely, he got on his horse and he rode by them. He rode by that entire column of Union cavalry, got out in front of him and was shouting, "The Yankees coming down Murfreesboro Pike. There's Yankees coming down Murfreesboro Pike." And of course, they shot him and killed him. But it got the men up, and they had a pretty wild pitched battle there for a while. It's not some kind of criminal court thing now, but it's where College Street Church of Christ used to be, that stone wall there that used to be around the cemetery. And they were fighting in that cemetery, and they had a bunch of them got holed up. I think it was like the Oddfellow Hall or something. They were holed up in there. And then Morgan and the majority of his men took off towards Carthage and on the old Rome Pike. And when they got out to Rome, they hit the ferry. They had a 15-mile running battle to get out there. And when they got out there, it was I believe, I could be wrong on this, but I believe it wasn't a big ferry like it is now. It was smaller, like maybe some boats, and they had a rope across there. So he had to leave his horse, his favorite horse, which was Black Bess, which was his prize horse. That's where he lost Black Bess. And he got across, and several of his men got across, but about 150 of them that were holed up in town, they surrendered. Finally, old Dumont said that he was going to burn the town down if they didn't come out, so they came out and surrendered. But that was the Lebanon races, or now apparently the Battle of Lebanon. But anyway, we went out to the ferry site today and got to looking at the ferry boat that they retired. It's still out there. It's pretty neat. But the county bought it in 1949, paid $11,000 for it, and it ran for all those years. But it was real windy out there, so it's the footage is, there's a lot of wind noise. But anyway, y'all look at it, and hopefully you'll think it's as neat as I do. Well, there it is, the old Rome ferry boat. It's on the south side of the Cumberland, down here in Rome, Smith County, Tennessee. Down there, you used to drive down there and get on the ferry, and it'd take you across to Beasley's Beach. Of course, the ramps are gone, but they were on each side, and the wheelhouse and motor back there. I remember it always going like an arc. It'd get caught in the current. And fly across there. The sure enough stern wheeler. Drive chain. The boards are long gone. It's probably been over 20 years since this thing has run. Let's get up on it. Oh, hold on first. The ramp on this side. Let's go look at that. Yeah, this one's still got some of the wood on it. It's really windy out here today. We're about to get a bunch of storms. Here's where the creek rolls into the river. Over there, the Beasley Bend side. About a half-hour drive over there now. You have to go up to Carthage and go across the bridge. Go to Hartsville. This is on the bow up on the deck. I have no idea what it means. But the bow down the deck is the wheelhouse. It's one of the winches, I guess it was hydraulic, that pulled up the ramp. Big old pulleys up there. Little highway department sticker. And apparently it holds water, so maybe it would keep it out. Oh, these it's like giant nails welded on here. I remember these had the little life preserver rings, you know, the little circular rings on them. It's kind of a interesting way to do that. It's the wheelhouse from the inside. See, the wheel ran on cables, and there were pulleys down there that the cables went through, and then under the wooden deck back to where they'd steer it. Big old inline 6-cylinder ran this thing with a lot of belts. How many belts is that one? 10 belts it looks like. That 6-cylinder. There's the drive that drove the big paddle wheel in the back. And what do we have here? Let's see where else that done. Appears the serial number is gone, but Rogers Manufacturing Company Incorporated, Nashville, Tennessee. No model number, no serial number. The patent number is 2425953. Owner patents pending. They're on a patented ferry boat. As it is beached now, this is the view out of the pilot house. It's the old paddle wheel from the top here. Something bell on that big old cast cog there. It says something bell. I'll go down there and get a closer look at that. I don't know where this is the water pump. It's a General Motors water pump. Well, I'm sure the radiator is where the battery went. There's the distributor. But the radiator, I'm sure, was stolen by scrappers long ago. Okay, here's the drive wheel on the paddle. It's cast. Link belt, maybe? Yeah, link dash belt. That big cog up there, that's of course connected to that drive with those 10 belts inside. Yeah, you drive right down here, right onto the ferry boat. And if I remember correctly, you'd get on and it'd start across the river and the current would catch it. And it'd go downstream and then it'd fight back upstream, and then it's where you'd end up, over on Beasley's Bend. North side of the river. Okay, well, here's the ferry from the north side of the Cumberland. This is where you used to get off or on, depending on which direction you were going. This is the Beasley's Bend side. Highway 70 over there. There's the river. Nice windy day here. Where the road went up. Alright, well y'all, that was it. I hope y'all enjoyed it and think it's as neat as I do. That was my little field trip today. But anyway, if you liked the video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see some more like it, subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions or comments, put them in the comment section. All right, y'all behave yourselves now.